Broncos news. What's going on, Broncos country? Glad to see you here again at Bourbon, Broncos, No BS. My name's Kev Dan. I got David and Spotty with me here tonight. We're going to bring you about an hour of awesome Broncos content, breaking down a lot of the Broncos news, things that have been going on recently. The Broncos uniforms revealed yesterday, getting some mixed reactions there. We'll break that down. I want to hear from you all what you think about the new jerseys. And then, of course, Thursday, something's happening. I don't know if you guys are aware, but something important. I guess we'll talk about that as well. So NFL draft news is going to be a big topic tonight. But David, sir, how's it going, man?
Man, it is going. It's been a big week in Broncos country, man. Sneaky big Monday with the uniform drop, the Zach Wilson drop. We've got draft week. It's going to be kind of the biggest Broncos week in a while. So I'm glad to be here to talk with you guys.
For sure. Spotty, what about you, bud?
Oh, I felt like there's a lot of like up and down kind of information. Like, hey, like let's leak half of the jerseys early in the morning, and then another half from the second part of the morning, and then let's sprinkle in a little Zach Wilson news. So definitely kind of like all over the place for the Broncos.
For sure, man. So look, a lot of things going on. We'll definitely talk about the jerseys for sure. One of the first things, news that came out today, I think really interesting in terms of maybe if it's going to impact our draft strategy, but Pat Surtain, 5th-year option being exercised by the team. What do you guys take on that?
I mean, the biggest no-brainer in the entire offseason, and that's all I think I have to say about that.
Is that the only 5th option we've picked up since that's become a thing? I'm trying to struggle. I believe it hasn't really been a thing for that long, maybe since like 2018, 2017, and I can't remember a time that the Broncos have picked up the 5th-year option for anybody. Right. So of course it's going to be a big news, but I also feel like it's one of those things that could be a possibility of bury the lead because it would be a requirement to trade him as well. So I know it's not a favorite topic, and it's something that the Broncos have stressed that they wouldn't do, but they've also said that they would do or would not do a lot of things here recently. So I think if we're planning on signing Surtain to a long-term deal, it would be really, really nice. But if this is what they're trying to do to try to pick up some possible draft capital, I mean I wouldn't be a fan of it, but I could see the move being beneficial to the team.
For sure. Yeah. Obvious, the big thing is, would he be a part of any trade package if the Broncos did trade up in the draft? And we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But the other, I guess you want to call it big news, the Broncos, I guess, are just decided that they have to have somebody named Wilson on their team. Zach Wilson from the Jets are back. And if he picks up that number 3 on his jersey, then you guys don't have to get rid of your Wilson 3 jerseys. You can just keep wearing them. So there you go. You're set.
What did he even wear for the Jets? I don't even know what number he was.
2.
I think it was like 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Problem is 3 is taken by Will Lutz right now, so he'll have to buy that number.
Quarterback trumps kicker anytime.
I think that the amount of money that he has to spend to get that jersey probably wouldn't be as high as, say, Kirk Cousins when he was trying to get Kyle Pitts' jersey.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Never got that jersey.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. But let's look at that. Zach Wilson, obviously there's a lot of hate. I mean, people that didn't like the jerseys instantly went back and said, you're going to do 2 stupid things in one day. What are we doing here? Is this the Broncos quarterback that they're trying to roll out for us or whatever? I mean, where do you think this is coming into play here? What's the plan for Zach Wilson? And is that somebody that Sean Payton can get on track?
I'll tell you this. I don't see Zach Wilson being giving you materially. All right, maybe not. Maybe I shouldn't say this because Zach Wilson was bad last year. I think Sean Payton can rehabilitate Zach Wilson to be as good as Russell Wilson was last year. Let me put it that way. I think that's probably his ceiling with Sean Payton, and I don't think you're really looking at him to be anything more than that for this team. I think if you look at this trade and see the Broncos coming away from this saying, oh, that's our starting quarterback of the future, that's just a narrative that you're creating in your own head.
Sure.
Very whelmed with the move. I feel that I'm going to say the same thing about the jerseys later, but I mean, he still had a 1,000-yard receiver. His numbers don't scream anything that you're like, yes, this is the guy. Of course, we also know what it's like to be in Nathaniel Hackett's offense. So not really sure if it's really hard to tell when it comes to this guy. I was never impressed with him when he was coming out of college. There was not a lot of big, school competition that he went against. And I kind of felt like he just got overhyped off after the combine. But we know that quarterbacks can go from one system and absolutely succeed in another. There are plenty of cases in that, they got Rich Gannon. I'm not saying that he's Rich Gannon, but if you take him from one system to put him into this one. Also, we don't ask the guys to throw the ball down the field a whole lot. So maybe a stronger arm will actually have somebody throw over the middle. Who knows? Do I think he's going to be the starter week 1? If I had to put my money on it, I'd absolutely say no.
Okay. And that's not knowing who we get in the draft or anything.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Because, the one thing that kind of does come to mind for me is, would this be a situation of, have Wilson start the first 4, 5, 6 games or whatever, and then bring in the new guy? We're treating this as a rebuilding year anyway. Is there a need for us to throw him out there right away? I mean, there's arguments on both sides of examples of it working when you throw him out there right away. There's examples of it working when you have him wait a year or so behind someone, right? So there's just a lot of different things going on there. It's just I also think that when it comes to Sean Payton, though, I agree. I think when he gets his guy, he's going to want his guy out there, right? So that's where it's like, are we just replacing our backup situation? Which, okay, I think that's an upgrade in backup if that's what we're looking to do. So I'm okay with that.
Danucci was going to be the backup going into this season,
right?
And I know I was joking with John when I said who. I know who Danucci is, but he doesn't inspire any confidence if the starter goes down. And it might be a crazy thought. The crazy thought is, depending on who the Broncos bring in, that quarterback might actually be older than Zach Wilson is. So I don't know if that will play in a dynamic because some of the quarterbacks that are going to be available for the Broncos are on the older side.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and that and so for Zach Wilson, I think what he brings to the team baseline is of quote unquote veteran presence, whatever that's worth, is just a guy who's played in the league before at this point, because he has been in the league for 3 years. If nothing else. And, you had Jarrett Stidham, but Zach Wilson has started games. The product of that is what it is. But if you do roll into the season with Zach Wilson as your quarterback, and you didn't get a guy in the first 2 rounds of this year's draft, to me, that is a bigger indication than anything you've done that you're just all in on 2025 at this point. Like you're already moving past 2024. And and we can talk about the future draft class of 2025, but that's, that to me is what you're showing me if you pick a guy like Spencer Rattler in the 3rd round of this year's draft, and that's what you do at quarterback.
Yeah. No, this year very much. And Jason and Bob, appreciate the comments so far. If you're tuning in for the first time, welcome to the show. Please put your comments down. We really want to hear from you all and what your thoughts are. So definitely appreciate you tuning in. Looking at the roster the other day when I was rebuilding our intro videos, it was very sad. It was very sad. Not to just see how many people have left, but when you're looking for well-known, bigger, I'm not going to say big name players. I don't think the Broncos have any big name players other than Pat Surtain. but maybe more well-known players just amongst Broncos country. And there ain't many options, right? So when you're talking about having somebody on the team with veteran presence, even if it's the backup quarterback, I think that's going to be huge for this team, because that's definitely one area they're going to be lacking in is experience. So this year, I think very much, and I'm okay with it, guys. Like this, what we're seeing now is something we should have seen back in 2017, right? After Manning left, after we tried the Simeon experiment and that didn't work, we should have just said there on the spot, look, wipe the slate clean and let's do this from scratch, right? But we had those 5 or 6 years of Elway and Ellis just saying, oh, we're 1 or 2 players away. And that just never worked, right? So we were essentially in football purgatory for that entire time. And it sucks, right? So now we're looking at a full-on actual rebuild. I think this year you go in and say, we're going to try different situations. We're going to try different looks, try different plays, different schemes, try different ways of prepping for the team. I don't know, just, figure out what works and what doesn't work. See who stands out and who doesn't stand out, and really start building the team from the ground up. And I think that is going to put us in a situation where we're sitting here next year and we're going to have a pretty good idea of at least what the, younger talent on the team looks like, what we'll have from the free agency by then, and how the quarterback has looked through the first year, right? Those are going to be some big questions we're just going to have to answer throughout the season. But I don't know. Any takes, guys?
It would benefit the Broncos to get off their high horse, no pun intended on that one. But it's like we thought we were too smart for the league for so many years. And where we're at right now, yes, we have not been very good, but where we're at right now is not too far off where the Houston Texans were a year ago, right? Besides the fact that they had a much higher draft pick, okay? But we have the potential of taking, hopefully, what would be a franchise quarterback, and then next year we will have some of the highest amount of money available in free agency, right? So then you take that money and then you develop around it. But it's be like the first time, man. It's really gonna take us hitting in this particular draft. And it's either that, or I think our draft strategy should be to draft a quarterback in the 2nd and 3rd round every year until we figure it out.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm pulling up now. I just wanted to see where the Broncos are sitting as they are right now, cap wise, for going into 2025. We're sitting at 15 on the list, so right there in the middle of the pack. You're right, plenty of money, right? And that's without any other changes or whatever they're going to make throughout the season to open up even more money. So lots of options there, guys. Lots of options.
Do we want to talk about the draft first or the jerseys? Because I saw Ziggy's comment on there, and that's what I saw earlier today.
I think it's time. Let's start talking about the draft, because a lot of these things, kind of like we're talking about, are tying into the draft and the draft strategy. So Ziggy, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate the comment here. What's the word in proposed trade with the Eagles? I heard about that today. And then David was also seeing information with the Steelers, who are sitting at number 20. So what do you think, guys? Before the Zach Wilson trade and things, there was, I think, more pressure or more thought that the Broncos would trade up. Now that they've exercised Pat Surtain's 5th-year option and brought in Zach Wilson, I'm thinking there's more of an argument to be made for staying at 12 or trading back to either one of those positions or even further back, especially if you're trying to get maybe a 2nd-round pick for this year. What do you think?
I mean, to me, the only argument you could make, as I think about it more and more, the only argument you can make for trading up is if you can get to 2 somehow. And to be honest, to get to 2, I feel like it would take 2 extra 1st-round picks and probably Pat Surtain to get all the way up to the 2nd overall pick this year. And I still don't think Washington would do it in that case, because I think they want to take the 2nd quarterback. I don't think that you give up the assets that you would have to give up to get the 3rd or 4th quarterback in this class by moving to 3 or 4. It just doesn't make sense to me with the guys who are going to be there on the board probably. So yeah, to me, trade back seems like a more and more viable scenario as we get closer and closer to Thursday.
We are in a kind of a FUBAR situation, right?
Yeah.
So as
Yep.
as excited as we were about our 5-game winning streak, we really shot ourselves in the foot for the end of the year, mostly because we're in the position to take the 5th best quarterback. Maybe it's all going to depend on what we all know what the Bears are going to do. We don't need to even have a conversation about that. We still don't know what Washington's going to do. If they're smart, they're going to take a quarterback. I don't see any way around that. And then the New England, which they're taking, there's noise that they're taking proposals on that 3rd pick. We still don't know what they do, but they also need a quarterback. So we're already 3 quarterbacks in at this point, with information about the Raiders possibly trading up. The Vikings have draft capital trade up. We just do not have the draft capital to give up, to move up into those positions. And I've mentioned this before. I'm not as high on some of these other quarterbacks as everybody else is. Like JJ McCarthy, I feel like he just kind of blew up out of nowhere, and I'm not really sure if he's that great. I think that trading back, and this is just a personal opinion, I think trading back is the best possible way to go. And I see Jason wrote on there about Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix is there at 20 or 22. I don't believe that Bo Nix is a number 12 overall pick quarterback. And I think what's the last quarterback that was in that range was probably Justin Fields, who was 11 that one year.
Mm-hmm.
And I even think Justin Fields is a better quarterback than Bo Nix. So if we can trade back into the draft to get Bo Nix, say in the 20 range, and as well pick up a 2nd round draft pick to potentially, bolster the wide receiver core, or better yet, we don't have a center. I don't know if anybody's talked about that. I think that'd be the best way to go. Yeah.
Yeah. No, well, and so here's the thing about Bo Nix. Guys, let me preface this by saying I don't watch college football at all, period. I watch some analysis of college players during draft season, and that is about all I can say. It feels to me like the Bo Nix and Michael Penix chatter in this draft have been much more media driven than team driven as far as them going in the 1st round at all. Like the process from, when it was the Senior Bowl and it was really just scouts doing the draft talk, like, before the combine and all that. These dudes were both being talked about as 2nd to 3rd round picks, easily. Not top 12 picks, not the kind of guys who you pick at number 12 or number 13 because the top 4 guys are gone. It feels like there's this group of guys every year at quarterback, right? No matter how good the draft class is, there's always a group of quarterbacks who gets talked about as going in the 1st round. And, to the credit of analysts, because there have been guys like Geno Smith that go in the 1st round, like that make you just go, okay, wait, what?
EJ Manuel.
EJ Manuel, thank you. Yes. But for all of those guys, there's a Will Levis who is, in draft week, the odds-on favorite to go 2nd overall, and then slips all the way into the 2nd round, right? So I feel like Bo Nix and Michael Penix are really going to be more of those type quarterbacks than guys who end up going way, way higher than they should, just because there's this quote unquote demand for quarterback.
With Bo, I feel specifically he's more of a product of the system that he's in. The only thing because they look at it and his average throw is low considering how many yards that he actually has, which plays a big factor that we don't necessarily have the offense that's going to always be, hey, dump this off 6 yards and go 70. We don't have those kind of playmakers. So I could foresee him fitting in Sean Payton's offense. Okay, I definitely can see that. He's somebody who didn't turn over the ball, right? He makes the right moves with his legs when he needs to, right? But all at the exact same time, I'm not saying that he isn't a 1st round quarterback. I just don't believe that he's a number 12 overall quarterback. And if we're going to make that pick, I think we should go with best available, or trade down to, potentially get him at another spot.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, that's one situation that really hasn't been discussed about. I mean, what if the Broncos do trade down to 20 or 22 or maybe a little bit lower to get that second round pick, don't get a quarterback with that first pick, and then wait until round 2? Very interesting situation. I mean, I don't know who you would go with at that point. I mean,
It'd have to be defense.
best available. It'd have to be defense. Almost, you're right. What about that cornerback that we're looking for, right, to replace Justin Simmons? So
I would love to see. Well, all right. So Illinois has a defensive tackle, Johnny Newton, who's just crazy good at everything. He also has a really scary foot injury that is, I think, scaring a lot of teams off. So he might even slip out of the second round into the second round. He's definitely like a top 20 talent as far as just the tape goes. But oh man, he'd be somebody if his foot checked out. I would love to have on the Broncos, but we'll see.
We're in a weird spot where either we need to because there's so many offensive players are going to go ahead the possibility of the number one defensive player falling to anywhere into that 10 to 12 range is high. Now, I mean, Turner from Alabama, there's the cornerbacks, the kid from Toledo, even something crazy as Brock Bowers, the best tight end that's in the league, right? Which I think that's a luxury pick more than anything. But I think we could, if we wanted to stay put at 12 and we wanted to get possibly the next franchise defensive player for us, that would be a good spot for it. But I also think that we just need more capital. And to that running back comment, there's no running back that the Broncos would even even in this draft, which is so bad, we're looking at a third or fourth round running back, and that still might be the first running back taken.
Yeah. No way.
It's crazy. Ziggy, see what you're saying there. A couple different articles on and rankings for offensive lines. The worst that I'm really seeing is middle of the pack in terms of teams. We're not really too low anywhere. The run blocking was really good for the season. Yeah, there were those pass blocking difficulties, but you got to keep in mind that Russell Wilson, I got to say that, not Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson was the second worst ranked quarterback, especially when it came to pressures and fumbles and all the other stuff going on. So, I think it's a perfectly fine situation to put someone back there, get them learning.
I'm desperate for any quarterback that will just play at the pace that Sean Payton wants to play at. Because, man, that will take that feels like it'll cut out 60% of the sacks we saw last year just with that alone and make this offensive line look, because they're not that bad, guy. I mean, I'm sorry, the advanced numbers, they're just not, they weren't that bad last season. And I just want to see a quarterback that will help them reflect that a little bit better.
For sure. Yeah, Ziggy, I mean, I completely agree as well. If trading back gets us more picks, especially if we're looking for that second round pick, because that would be huge for the team.
We have so many needs
for us.
Guys, edge rusher is such a need. Number two corner is a need. We don't have a real interior defensive line presence. The inside linebacker position is Alex Singleton and who. You could use two more wide receivers. You could add to that running back room. Guys, there's so many needs. Having 2 picks in the top 75 or top 100, I think, when you're a team with as many needs, if you can get more, oh man, you really got to do it.
Yeah.
That's why I think the worst thing that we could do is trade up and give away the next 2-3 years of first round draft picks.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
exactly. No, it doesn't make any sense.
And to me, guys, I don't know, the entire conversation around Sean Payton has always felt a little bit more like he wants a quarterback that is able to go out and compete toe to toe, with Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes, a guy who can do those type of special things. That's the kind of guy he wants. And I don't think he's going to trade up a bunch of draft capital for a guy who doesn't fit that profile. And I think there's 2 guys at maximum like that in this draft. And I think he knows by now that he doesn't have a good shot at getting one of them. and it's time to, it's a valid point that next year's quarterback draft class is not going to be as good as this year's as it looks right now. But if the alternative is, we go on to next year, or we trade up a bunch of stuff for a guy who we're not really convinced is going to be worth the capital we're about to put in for him, I mean, that's an easy choice still.
Yeah, exactly. Really quickly, Steve, I'm sorry to break it to you, man. That is not a rumor. I told you guys yesterday, I saw 2 videos pop up all of a sudden about trades of Zach Wilson to the Broncos. I thought it was old April Fool's Day videos popping up until I went into the group chat, and they're like, Zach Wilson to the Broncos. Like, what are you talking about, man? So sorry, that is happening. But what we're all kind of thinking makes the most sense is we're not expecting him to be a starter on day one. If anything, more of a improving our backup quarterback situation, getting some experience on the team. So, Keith, man, if I was, a general manager, I would be right there with you. I would hire you as my assistant, because every year kicker first round, and we'll just see what happens, man. I like it. Let's see. I think we have a funny story of the first time I ever did fantasy football. David, I think it was in the league with you. Yeah. First time ever. I had no idea what I was doing, guys. No idea. I got a kicker in the first round.
I think that's
Don't ask me. I don't know why. I was just
it's not. It wasn't the first round. It was legit the third round, though. It was definitely round 3. Okay. Yeah, it was absolutely round 3. I think, and this is as much credit as I can give Kevin in this scenario, I think he might have been working under the old NFL rule that kickers have like the most points of any players in the league when they go in the Hall of Fame. They score more than anybody else. So maybe this was what was on Kevin's mind, but obviously he did not win the championship that year. No. Let's put it that way, guys.
No. Pure ignorance. And just you guys gave me a good one for that. But anyway.
Well deserved.
Mm-hmm. Well deserved. Let's see. Yeah, so Zach Wilson, the Broncos for sure. Ziggy, someone stuck in their way is not good, like Russell Wilson. Yeah, I think there were a lot of things there with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton. Again, we'll never know what was really going on behind closed doors. We don't know what was said on the sideline when we saw them get into it, right? But I do think, as the head coach, he gets the guy he wants. You're not going to have any issues there, right? So the question is the guy going to work out or not?
Yeah. And if you're Zach Wilson, this was the best situation you probably could have stepped into in the entire league. Like you're 24 years old still. You were drafted 2nd overall, and it wasn't a thing at the time. Like, think back to that draft, guys. It wasn't a thing at the time where it was like, oh, Zach Wilson is a controversial 2nd overall pick. Like, everybody was talking about Zach Wilson as like a consensus top 5 guy at the time. So, there were traits on film then to at least admire. And so now if you're Zach Wilson, you go to a place where you're going to get the chance to start. You're going to get the chance to compete against a team, if the team's going to bring in a quarterback this draft, almost certainly. But as we've been talking about, it's probably going to be a guy who's a late first round pick all the way down to a 3rd round pick, somewhere in there. You're going to have a chance to go out and prove that, at least your quote unquote veteran presence is enough to start week 1. Right. Mm-hmm. And if you can get on the field, if you're Zach Wilson at that point, you can do anything from there, at least in the player's mind. I'm not saying that he has that actual potential on the field, but
yeah. Jason, don't bring that up, man. Why you gotta bring that up, man?
2 years in a row, Jason. 2 years in a row.
Why? Why you gotta do that to us?
Brees Hall played a big part of that.
That's true. Yeah. Last year he did.
I'm not gonna say that he beat us. He just played us on the day we beat ourselves, and he just happened to win on those.
Oh, it was all Nathan Hackett's game plan. It was solid.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't we play the Jets again this year?
I thought we did.
I'm
pretty sure we do. Yeah.
Schedule should be coming out early May, so I'll look. But let's see. Yeah, Ziggy. There you go. Glad you didn't get that Russell Wilson jersey. I did. And I also did, I'll admit that, I think after we went 3-0 with Trevor Siemian, I bought a Trevor Siemian jersey. I don't think I've touched that in about 4 or 5 years now. And I decided I'm not jumping on any quarterback bandwagon for at least 2 years until they prove that, okay, this is actually going to work out. So,
I'm not buying jerseys until we get second contracts. But you got to sign a second contract.
Yep. Then I'll consider it.
Oh, one thing that we haven't talked about is Cortland.
Yeah. I'm not concerned about it. What do you guys take on holding out and the news of the offseason surgery he got right at the end of the season there?
Look, I love Court. He played really, really well last season for, with the 10 touchdowns, with the quarterback play being what it was. It's hard to make the case for me that he deserves like a really different deal than the one he has right now, though.
Yeah.
Like, and I get, a player has to do what they can to look out for themselves because that's what this business is. And if the player doesn't do it, nobody else is going to look out for them. So do what you got to do. It's not, it's off-season workouts. It's nothing right now.
Voluntary.
Right. No. Realistically, Steve, I think if you trade him, you are looking at a 4th-round pick maximum for Cortland Sutton right now. And I don't know, what, I think you let the situation play out for now. I think you let him hold out through voluntary workouts and see how it goes once you get to training camp.
Yeah.
I see what Jason put, 10 touchdowns. He's right. He did have a great year, but
his best ever.
But then that's it. That's a big but there. He hasn't been very healthy for all of the time he's been with us.
No.
So
I wouldn't say he's injury prone, but he definitely has an injury history and now has another surgery to add to it.
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. The quarterback situation hasn't been fantastic. He's mostly doing this because, as we know, he has almost no more guaranteed money tied to his contract. And it's possible the Broncos could do some maneuvering and add more to it this year and absorb it this year while we can and make sure we don't have – he's also getting a lot older. I have had this conversation with one of my buddies years and years ago. You paid veteran wide receivers because the wide receivers that were coming in from college just didn't hold a candle to them. And I'm going to go ahead and say since the OBJ wide receiver draft class, we have seen a rookie or take over, whether that be 6, at least top 10 in being in yardage for, every year since then. So I think that particular position is no longer behind when it comes to coming the intro to the pros. So there's not a whole lot of reason for the Broncos to give him more money.
No.
I would say if he is not going to voluntary workouts for money, which I didn't see anything where he specifically said that. I don't know if that's confirmed by his agent or anyone, but that very well just could be like the reason for not going. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go because of this. Like, whatever. He's working out on his own down in Florida. It sounds like, he's getting in shape and everything, recovering well. It doesn't sound like there's any injury issues. Look, the other thing I can think of is we got most, rich owners in the league. Maybe add on really nice sign-on bonus or something. And I don't know if that's going to be what appeases him. If he wants an extension, I don't know. Right. But I think at this point, to be honest with you, the way I'm viewing this year, and I'm not going to say this year is a wash. I think we're going to have to look at this year through a very different lens to see success or not.
I'll say this year's a wash if you want me to, but that's
if you want to. Look, I'm not going to be looking at the record at the end of the season to determine if we're a success or not. There's going to be a lot of other bigger factors. So, look, if Cortland Sutton wants to just continue to hold out because he's not getting paid enough, okay. Like, What are you? You're not hurting us, really. We're in this, like, we're trying to get experience to the young guys anyway. So, okay, like, fine. I don't care. So I don't know why a lot of people are like really upset or like freaking out that Cortland Sutton might not play this year. Cause I'm like, why?
Yeah.
You know, if we go 6-11, I'll be happy with a 6-11 season, to be completely honest.
I won't.
With you.
I'd rather go 4-13 than 6-11, but you know,
yeah.
But
at that point, yeah.
I mean, at that point, like, let's,
Look, if we only have one win halfway through the season, sure, David, I'll agree with you at that point. But if we already have like 2 or 3 wins halfway through the season, which I think you could get to just accidentally by playing a not as good team on an off day at home, and you just happen to get that game-winning field goal or something, you're like, oh, look, we won. Yay. Right?
We do play the Jets, by the way, on the road in the
road.
upcoming season. But yeah, pray for the Broncos ACLs going into
MetLife.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be huge.
Mm-hmm.
So look, let's be honest. We are at least 2 really good seasons away of us doing everything perfectly, from free agency to the draft, trades, maneuvering financially, health-wise, injury front, from even considering talking about us being in the good team category, right? And that's what a rebuild is. And I think as long as we accept that, I'm okay with it, right? Let's see where we're really at after, but for now, let's just have fun with it. Let's see who we draft. Let's see how they work out. Let's get them some playing time, and let's go from there. So,
put good players on this team. That's all.
Yeah, exactly. I'll get to some of these comments, guys. I'm going to catch up. I know we got away from some of them here really quickly. Don't forget, Thursday night, starting at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. As soon as the draft starts, we will be going live, and we will be live throughout the entirety of the first round, all the way up through the Broncos pick. If they trade back, it'll be a longer night for us, but we will be here through the whole night, all the way up through the Broncos pick. I do always threaten, if they go to round 2, they trade out of first round, that we'll just stay live overnight, but we haven't had to do that yet. So we'll see. But Spotty's just like, screw you, Kevin.
I snore loud, man. I don't know if you want that on live.
Oh, let's do it. Let's see how long it takes before Facebook says, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, cut the content, boys.
Okay, so make sure you guys join in. We want to hear from you guys, talk to you guys, hang out as we go through and watch the draft unfold and see what happens. So, it's going back to this. Tim Patrick's another name we haven't really talked about. What do you guys expect from him going into this season, knowing that he's had those 2 big injuries this last 2 years?
To be a veteran presence.
I think that's, yep.
I liked him, man. I really liked him, but at this point, you can't expect a whole lot. I mean, Anthony said it right there. Just be healthy. That's all we need. We not that it would have blown the top off of our offense, but we definitely know that we need our wide receivers. Right now, it's Cortland Sutton and it's Marvin Mims and it's Tim Patrick. I guess we just re-signed little Jordan Humphrey.
Mm-hmm.
But there's nothing about that wide receiver core that you're just like, yeah. So yeah, let's be healthy, Tim. Be available. We definitely need it.
That's the biggest thing.
I really want the Broncos to get a 2nd-round pick somehow and draft Ricky Pearsall from Florida. And that's what I want Tim Patrick to teach Ricky Pearsall how to be himself. That's what I would like.
You know what's interesting? You say that. I got 2 wide receivers that that could be coming in the 2nd round, and that would be a fan of. Like I said, we just did sign Josh Reynolds. That's actually like.
Oh yeah, no, we did.
I like him. It's nothing that's gonna like blow your mind, but Xavier Legette from South Carolina, who is a big country talking black guy. You hear him talk, you're like, this does not match up. And then and then Keenan Coleman from Florida State. They're both big dudes that could take the top off, and I think they'd be available if we could get a 2nd-round pick. I think it'd be kind of cool. But again, and ifs or buts.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
I do like Pearsall though.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah. I mean, I love Worthy in. Yeah.
Florida.
Yeah. Worthy Corley, Malachi Corley, was that? What's his name? From Kentucky? Is another guy that stands out?
Yep.
Yeah. There's receivers in this draft. And the Broncos, if the Broncos take one in the first 3 rounds, I would not be upset.
I think it's the draft to do it. Like, I think it's quarterbacks and wide receivers. That there's an overabundance of those where we might be able to get one in the third round that may end up being, the next guy for us over the next couple years.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I say the more I'm hearing you guys talk, and you guys are smarter on the draft than I am by a lot, especially when it comes to, Spotty and you knowing the college talent way better than I do. It sounds like more and more of a convincing reason to trade back. Find somebody who will give you a second round pick and trade back.
If you can.
If you really trust that Bo Nix is going to be there that late and Bo Nix is your guy that you're like, yeah, we're going to do this with him. We're going to commit to him. Trade back. Get that second round pick. Get that wide receiver that's going to be a great matchup with him. And you could develop a really good duo there right off the bat, right? Let them really start building some chemistry in their first year together. So, I'm just becoming more and more okay with the idea of, we don't need to do these crazy things to trade up and get a guy that may or may not work out. Let's trade back. And if the quarterback doesn't work out, well, then we at least have another shot with this wide receiver that's one of the top wide receivers in the draft. And let's make it, see what he turns out to be,
For sure.
It's what
the guys.
That's why I say that.
Yep. Now, for anybody out there, I don't expect us to replicate what the Texans did this year.
Oh yeah, no,
not by any
than we did.
Okay, but if we're looking at a plan for success, I think that's a good way to start. You say, hey, look at what these guys just did, and we're in a very similar position to what they were. Let's try and replicate that. What makes sense for us and our system, and what can we use to bolster our strength and try to get back on track sooner rather than later. So I love it, guys. I love it. Let's see. Somebody said, was it Jason? He left early. He left just a little bit ago, but at least we beat the Chiefs. Completely agreed. That was a big thing. Now, if we could just beat the Raiders as well.
Yeah, let's beat the Raiders this year.
Yeah, that's the big one. That's our goal. That's one of our goals. Anthony, we need an edge rusher. That is a position we haven't talked about. What are you guys seeing in terms of edge rushers and where we might pick one up there?
For me, edge rusher is the position where the Broncos already have like a bunch of B guys, and there's like two or three A guys in this draft. And you could take one at 12. I guess you could take Jared Verse or Dallas Turner or Latu, but
not if you don't have a second round draft.
I mean,
draft pick.
It to me, you have so many other needs that maybe that's one where you punt on edge for a year and see if you can do something else at that position or just go with what you've got.
Yeah. They're, speaking on the Texans, right? They took CJ Stroud and then they had Will Anderson Jr., who was by far the greatest defensive player that draft. There isn't that Will Anderson Jr. in this particular draft. So I agree with David wholeheartedly in the fact that if that's something that we go after next year, a young guy. I mean, there's no Micah Parsons, right? Like, there's no one guy that's going to be around at 12 that I'm even like, yeah, if he's there, let's definitely go after him, right? I think if any all those players that we've talked about, maybe Jared Verse is the one that I'm looking at it, but he's even an undersized guy for his position, so. Was there talk too that they're going to move Drew? They're thinking about moving Drew Sanders to put him down into the outside linebacker spot, which of course he's already undersized as a linebacker. Now they're going to think about that. That's if they end up doing that. Again, the edge rushers, even with a lot of Bs, we weren't healthy at that position this year. We didn't have Baron Browning for most of the year. Cooper missed some games, so I think. We just see if we can continue to have success in later round draft picks and then maybe get that Von Miller, that, Chubb, that I was going to say Shane Ray, but he never really developed the way either. But that name maybe the next year.
Yeah,
for sure. Well, guys, look, there's a lot to really talk about, and we're going to go through a whole lot more as we see the draft unfold. But we haven't talked about the last big thing topic for tonight: jerseys. New jerseys. Want to hear from you guys what you think. So we're going to start with this one. The Mile High collection, guys. We're going to start with the not as cool one because I don't want to end on that note. But multiple combinations, 9 of them. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I like that you have lots of combinations. Let me put it that way. I like that there are lots of choices. Like generally, guys, honestly, I get some of these are not great. That's fine. I like them more than the last jerseys. That's the conviction I've come to more than anything else in the last 24 hours. Is I like them better than the last uniforms. So yeah, there's definitely some things to dislike about them, and we'll talk about it. But I like them better.
I really appreciate you guys coming on to the group chat and dropping that article that showed all of the comments about our previous jerseys from 1997. Okay, yeah. And what I will wholeheartedly admit that changed my outlook on the jerseys. Okay, because over the last week or so, we've been getting each team is coming out something like speaking of the Texans dropped one today, and I kind of looked at it and I'm like, okay, this jersey looks like this. I'm like, okay, we can do the exact same thing about the Broncos jerseys, right? Now, as a true fan, what I can say is my biggest beef is probably just about how dark the blue is. All right, because and again, this is something that as soon as we're on the field, the sun is shining, the lights are on, that could totally be something different, but it almost looks black. And then somebody threw out the the University of Texas, El Paso or something like that. They're the Roadrunners. Our jerseys almost look exactly like theirs.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so if you guys find that out, that's on the interwebs somewhere out there. Now, I will say that them dropping the throwback, and I know we're going to talk about that later, that I'm like 100%, I'm like, yep, done. Like, if this was the only thing that they dropped, I would have been happy with it.
Oh, God, it looks so clean.
So good.
Don't be cowards. Sell the socks, Broncos. Sell
the socks. Oh, yes.
Look at them. Oh, my God.
And down to the video that they dropped for this. I quite honestly, they couldn't have done any better. I feel like they should have reversed the drop, and it would have changed the fans' feeling about it. Yeah, they should have dropped the throwback first, and then the new jerseys.
Yep, that would have been perfect. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, but I think so. Wait, I think they can. I think they can wear the throwbacks a maximum of 3 times per season. And they can't do this because they would have to do another jersey, I think, and I think they've already hit their maximum. But man, I'd love to see them do a road version of the throwback too.
Oh yeah, just all white.
Yeah, with the blue numbers on the orange outlines. Ooh, those were clean uniforms too. Those were nice.
That'd be something nice for them to add.
Yeah.
Maybe drop one of the alternate combinations and then add a away version of this for sure.
It has to speak that it's Pat Surtain, right? Like, it has to speak to something that Pat Surtain is front and foremost on almost all of this.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you wouldn't just trade a guy after putting him in a commercial, right?
No.
I didn't think about that.
Probably
You're
not.
right. Exactly.
No. Okay. Because but then again, I also thought, I'm like, what other player could they have done this with that would have resonated with the Broncos?
Right, that's a fair point.
That's it.
Oof,
that's
man,
it. If you look at the roster, that's it.
Court, maybe
Williams.
Yeah,
but
Javonte, I guess Pookie would have been a good one.
Pookie would have been a good one.
No one's on
defense.
It would have been Justin Simmons.
Yeah.
And that's obvious. Like, man, I've been waiting to get a jersey for a while now. That throwback Sertan jersey is obviously the one. Like,
100%.
Yeah.
Like unless somebody who we draft this year, I'm like, yeah, I'm into this.
Yeah.
Maybe, but you know.
Yeah. All right, but let's get back to these. Let's talk about them, guys. Let's not be scared of it. Let's go into it.
I think you're right. You're not going to see the Blues until November, December, January timeframe, because of how dark they are, you know. And playing at home, I think they're definitely going to choose to wear white, at least probably the home opener, before they go to the orange, this front combination here. But I'll tell you what, guys, I'll be honest with you. I think my favorite out of all these combinations, blue top, orange pants. I don't know.
See,
that one's standing out to me.
That one, it's standing out to me in two ways.
Oh,
well, it's ugly, but but it's not ugly in a way that I hate, and I don't know how I feel about that.
It's
like
ugly.
To me, the worst combo on here is the orange pants and the orange jersey. That's
just like the color rush. That's just the color rush.
I actually think I like orange top, white bottoms the best.
Oh yeah, and I think that'll probably be the most common.
That's
orange combo for them. I think
For sure.
I'll tell you what else I get the argument that the shoulders look a little bit more like a little more like the Chargers uniforms than we would like, but also. Look, guys, I read Twitter. All of y'all were complaining when it looked like they were going to look like actual mountains too. So, what did you tell me what you wanted? And I understand you all wanted the throwback to be the main jersey. That wasn't going to happen. Let's move on from that. So, yeah, I do like that the shoulders have all three colors on the shoulders like that. That was one of the things I really didn't like about the shoulders on the old uniforms was it was just the number and nothing else on the shoulder. It always just felt boring to me.
Bland.
I do like the extra continuity, right? Because we tried to do those jersey pairings where last year we did like white tops and blue bottoms, but the blue bottoms had the orange stripe on it, and the white top had the blue stripe, and it felt like what our team was and was discombobulated.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Something
okay.
wasn't adding up. Yeah.
All right. Put John's comment up here. I want to talk about the triangles for a second because I've never heard. I've never seen
talk about the triangles.
A bigger nothing burger than the triangles, you guys. Like and part of this is the team's fault. Part of this is the team's fault because the team tried to draw attention to the triangles, and I don't understand why you did that. The triangles are tiny. They're incredibly decorative. The idea that you're going to see them and they're going to be like this really awful thing that you're noticing in the course of a game, it's just not going to happen, guys. It's not what the uniform's going to look like from the angles that you're going to be seeing these players at. That's all. Yeah.
Yep. You'll see it on the jerseys when they do the close-ups of the players in between plays, you know, but otherwise you're not going to see it. Very small detail, you know, if you want to incorporate mountains, I think there were better ways to do it that stood out more. And I'm not saying the intricate, like it looked really good on the design, like on paper, the mock-ups with the really nice fancy mountains on the shoulders and the sleeves, but that just
from this angle, it looks a lot more like a mountain. Like if you're just looking at it from the front, it looks a lot more like the Charger bolt. But from this angle, it looks a little bit more like a mountain to me. I don't hate them, guys. Like I said, I like them better than the last uniforms. The parentheses, I never really understood.
Yeah.
I will 100% tell you, David, that no matter what we put out outside of that throwback jersey, what is going to appease me to the utmost. I mean, I've all of the teams have put out brand new jerseys over the last, I don't know, when we started doing this 3 years. And the only times that I'm like, wow, that's really good was the throwbacks.
Right.
Okay. Right. There's the Tampa Bay has gone through so many different jersey changes. People don't even remember that. They're pewter jerseys from
the digital clock number jerseys. Those were the worst. Those set a standard for bad that still haven't been met as far as I'm concerned.
Right. And of course, so the way that the internet works is that we have to destroy it, right? Because you have to
Exactly.
feel a certain way. And that's why I will continue to say until I see it all in action, you give me a couple years, I will just be whelmed
Right.
about the jerseys until you see me rocking one of the throwbacks.
There it is.
There you go. I don't know. I think I'm gonna get one of the blue ones, guys. I'm gonna do it. I think I am.
Okay.
I'm due for a white jersey. I realize it's the only one I don't have, mostly because of beer.
And I think I like these away jerseys. Like they look decent, right? Like I don't love them like you're saying, but I think out of the combination, the away jersey looks the best or one of the best.
I will say this for the white helmets. I wish they had done interchangeable color face masks for the white helmets. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool part of the leaked concept art that didn't become an actual thing.
Right. But I don't know, guys. I think the average, I would give it a C overall. But I don't know.
A plus plus for throwbacks.
But, yeah. Oh, by far, yeah. A plus plus for throwbacks. I would say man, I wish I could own a white jersey. I wish I could, but I would open it out of the box, and 5 seconds later, it would have a huge stain on it. I'm telling you, I can't do it. So,
what's the shot that you do it with Flagman? Like, I feel like that just end up all over the jersey.
Yeah, oh yeah. The shot ski, yes.
Yeah.
John, I don't know what the ideal number of triangles is, but apparently it's a lot. It's a large
7,
number.
John.
7. Oh, geez. Well, hey, guys, I think it's that time to wrap up. We're going to give our closing thoughts. Remember, everybody will be live during the first night of the draft, all the way up through the Broncos draft pick. So join us live at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. When we go live at the same time, the draft begins. So also, good luck to the Avs tonight. Hopefully they don't lose and give up 7 goals again, but we will see what's happening now. The game's going on as we speak. But
hey, man, we're riding a high after the Nuggets, okay?
Yeah.
That's true. I saw the ending of that game. Wow. So, look, at least we got the Nuggets. So, David, over to you. Closing thoughts, sir.
Boy, guys, I don't know. Be prepared for anything on Thursday evening, but man, as it stands now, it really looks like the Broncos are going to trade back more likely than anything. I get that there is a media-driven narrative that the Broncos are desperate to pick up a quarterback high in this draft, but I don't think Sean Payton is desperate. I think Sean Payton came into this team, before he got hired last year and said, if you're going to give draft picks for me, you need to know that this is my process year 1, this is my process year 2, and this is my process year 3. And I think he's on schedule so far. And so I don't think he's on any kind of hot seat to deliver with new quarterback play this year. And I think that you shouldn't be surprised to see it play out that way in the draft this weekend.
Okay. Spotty.
Damn it, David. Just Davids think alike a lot of the time, I guess. So I guess the only thing, since I've been using this word so much tonight, that I want to say is be prepared to be whelmed about our choice on Thursday. Mm-hmm. It 100% could come down to the fact that the Broncos decide to choose the best player available at 12, and then they don't make any moves because they understand and what their system is and what they're looking for. And there might be a guy like Spencer Rattler, or even earlier in the year, people were talking about this kid from the Tulane. Okay, that could be Sean's guy, and that's somebody that's going to be there at 3rd or 4th. So what can you really do, with 12? So there's a possibility that whatever we do out there is going to be a player that, every Broncos fan is going to be like, who or why did we make that choice? So we know Sean has a way, and he's going to go about it any way that he wants.
Yeah.
Well, you agreed. Lots of questions, lots of rumors. They're going to start really flying here the next couple of days, all the way up through the time it's, we're on the clock. And we'll just have to go from there. So we'll be here live covering it as it unfolds, and hope to see y'all here as we break it down live. And Spotty, David, sirs, thank you very much for being here as always. You guys are fantastic. For everybody tuning in, thank you very much for tuning in as well. You guys are the reason we do this, so we're going to keep doing it. Obviously, we're quiet during the off season, but before too long, guys, we're going to start making plans for preseason content because it is right around the corner. Training camp not too far out. Looking at us being already almost in May, believe it or not. So, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate you tuning in. And I think there's nothing else to say other than it as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Oh.
Do what I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go.